At 17 years old, Maya Richardson stood in her parents' pristine living room, her hands trembling as she clutched the positive pregnancy test. The afternoon sun streaming through the bay windows seemed to mock her predicament, illuminating the family portraits that lined the walls, perfect snapshots of a life that was about to shatter. Her father's face turned crimson as the reality sank in, his distinguished career as a prominent surgeon suddenly overshadowed by what he considered his daughter's catastrophic mistake. Her mother, always concerned with appearances in their affluent neighborhood, simply wept into her hands. Within 24 hours, Maya found herself standing on the sidewalk with 2 suitcases, her college acceptance letters crumpled in the trash, and nowhere to go. The boy who had promised to love her forever had already changed his number, his wealthy family having whisked him away to study abroad. As she watched her childhood home's door close for the final time, Maya felt the weight of society's judgment pressing down on her shoulders. The neighbors who had once praised her academic achievements now whispered behind their hands, their eyes following her growing belly with a mixture of pity and disgust. Her former friends deleted her from social media, as if poverty and single motherhood might be contagious. The private school she attended asked her to leave, citing concerns about her influence on other students. Maya spent her first night of homelessness in a 24-hour diner, nursing a cup of tea she could barely afford, wondering how everything had unraveled so quickly. The waitress, an older woman named Gloria with kind eyes and weathered hands, noticed the young girl's predicament. Gloria slipped her a piece of paper with an address for a women's shelter before her shift ended. As Maya walked through the darkened streets toward an uncertain future, she made herself a promise. This would not be the end of her story, but merely the beginning of something no one could yet imagine. The women's shelter on Oak Street became Maya's home for the next 4 months, a converted Victorian house that smelled of industrial cleaner and housed 12 other women in various states of crisis. She shared a room with 3 other women, their belongings crammed into small metal lockers, their dreams temporarily shelved alongside their possessions. Maya's roommate, Keisha, was a single mother of 2 who worked double shifts at a packaging plant and somehow still maintained her sense of humor. Every morning, Maya would wake at 5, feeling her baby kick against her ribs, and force herself to attend the shelter's mandatory job training programs. The reality of her situation became clearer each day. Without a high school diploma, her employment options were severely limited. The shelter's counselor, Mrs. Patterson, a stern woman with a surprising soft spot for determined young mothers, helped Maya enroll in a GED program at the community center. Between morning sickness and evening exhaustion, Maya studied relentlessly, her textbooks propped against her growing belly. She worked part-time cleaning offices at night, her back aching as she emptied trash cans and scrubbed toilets in the same buildings where she had once imagined working as an executive. The other cleaners, mostly immigrant women who spoke limited English, showed her tricks for working efficiently and shared their meager lunches with her. During her lunch breaks, Maya would sit in the empty conference rooms, looking at the whiteboards filled with business strategies and profit projections, absorbing everything. She taught herself basic business concepts from discarded magazines in the recycling bins. When her daughter Lily was born on a cold November evening, Maya held the tiny, perfect human in her arms and felt a surge of fierce determination that surprised her with its intensity. She had exactly $73 to her name, no permanent address, and no family support, but she had something more valuable, a reason to succeed that transcended her own survival. 6 weeks after Lily's birth, Maya returned to her night cleaning job with her daughter strapped to her chest in a donated baby carrier. The building manager initially protested, but Maya's supervisor, a compassionate woman named Rosa, intervened and allowed it as long as Maya finished her work efficiently. During those long nights, as Lily slept against her heartbeat and Maya scrubbed executive washrooms, an idea began to crystallize in her mind. She noticed that the cleaning company her employer contracted was poorly managed, often missing appointments and providing substandard service. The office workers complained constantly, but the building management seemed resigned to the inadequate service. Maya began documenting everything: which offices had specific cleaning requirements, what times worked best, what products clients preferred, and which current practices caused problems. She spent her breaks in the building's business library, reading books on entrepreneurship, business management, and customer service. One evening, she struck up a conversation with a young accountant working late who was frustrated with the cleaning service. Maya listened carefully to his complaints and asked detailed questions about what would constitute ideal service. That conversation planted the seed for what would become her first business venture. With no capital, no credit, and a baby depending on her, Maya knew she would have to be creative. She approached Rosa and two other cleaners with a proposal. If they would work with her as partners rather than employees, sharing both the work and the profits, she would start a cleaning company that would revolutionize service in their city. They were skeptical. This teenager with a baby was proposing they give up steady employment for her uncertain dream, but something in Maya's presentation convinced them. She had created a detailed business plan on paper borrowed from the recycling bins, complete with competitive pricing analysis and projected growth. Using a borrowed laptop at the public library, Maya designed simple flyers and a basic website. She named the company Crystal Clear Solutions, emphasizing reliability, communication, and customized service. Her first break came when she literally ran into the frustrated accountant in the building lobby, Lily wailing from hunger, and desperately pitched her new business to him during an elevator ride. The accountant, David Chen, was impressed enough by Maya's tenacity and detailed knowledge of his office's specific needs that he convinced his small firm to give Crystal Clear Solutions a 1-month trial. Maya and her 3 partners cleaned that office, as if their lives depended on it, because they did. They arrived 15 minutes early, completed every task on their checklist, and left detailed notes about anything that needed attention. Maya introduced innovations that seemed obvious but were rarely practiced. They used color-coded microfiber cloths to prevent cross-contamination. They tracked inventory of supplies and restocked proactively, and most importantly, they communicated. After each cleaning, Maya personally called the office manager to ensure satisfaction and ask for feedback. This attention to detail and customer service was unprecedented in the industry. Within 2 weeks, David's firm signed a 6-month contract, and he referred them to 2 other small businesses in the building. Maya reinvested every penny of profit into expanding the business. She purchased professional-grade equipment, branded uniforms, and liability insurance. During the day, while Lily napped at a subsidized daycare, Maya pounded the pavement visiting every small business in downtown, armed with a portfolio of before and after photos and glowing reference letters. Her age worked against her initially. Many business owners dismissed her immediately upon seeing a teenage girl walk through their door. However, Maya learned to turn her youth into an asset, positioning herself as part of a new generation bringing fresh ideas to a stagnant industry. She emphasized technology integration, creating a simple app that allowed clients to schedule services, make special requests, and provide instant feedback. Her competitors were still using phone calls and paper schedules. By her 19th birthday, Crystal Clear Solutions had 35 regular commercial clients and 8 team members. Maya was working 18-hour days, managing operations, handling sales, and still personally cleaning when they were short-staffed. She lived in a small apartment above a laundromat, the constant rumble of washing machines becoming white noise as she worked on her laptop while Lily slept. The breakthrough came when she landed a contract with a prestigious law firm whose previous cleaning company had caused a data security breach by improperly handling confidential documents. Maya implemented strict security protocols for her team, including background checks, bonding, and specialized training on handling sensitive environments. This positioned Crystal Clear Solutions as not just a cleaning company, but a trusted partner for businesses with security concerns. The law firm's endorsement opened doors to medical offices, financial institutions, and government contractors, all clients willing to pay premium rates for reliable, secure service. However, as the company grew, Maya encountered a problem she hadn't anticipated. Scaling while maintaining quality was extraordinarily difficult. She couldn't personally oversee every job anymore, and some team members weren't as committed to excellence as her original partners. After a few client complaints, Maya realized she needed to systematize her approach. She spent 3 months developing a comprehensive training program, quality control checklists, and a management structure that empowered team leaders while maintaining accountability. But more importantly, she had an epiphany during a particularly stressful client meeting. The CEO of a mid-sized tech company was frustrated because he was juggling contracts with separate vendors for cleaning, landscaping, window washing, and facility maintenance. He spent hours each month managing these relationships and dealing with scheduling conflicts. Maya saw an opportunity that would transform her business from a cleaning company into something far more valuable. She proposed becoming his single point of contact for all facility services, coordinating the various vendors under her management umbrella. She wouldn't perform all the services herself initially, but would curate, coordinate, and guarantee them. The CEO was intrigued but skeptical. Maya worked through the night preparing a detailed proposal showing how her model would save him money, reduce his administrative burden, and improve service quality through centralized accountability. When he accepted, Maya rapidly established relationships with vetted contractors for various services, negotiated volume discounts, and created an integrated scheduling system. She rebranded from Crystal Clear Solutions to Facility First, positioning the company as a comprehensive facility management solution for businesses that wanted to focus on their core operations rather than building maintenance. The model proved immediately successful, and within 6 months, she had converted most of her existing clients to the expanded service model and attracted dozens of new clients who loved the simplified approach. Success, however, brought new challenges that threatened to destroy everything Maya had built. As Facility First expanded rapidly, she struggled to maintain cash flow. Her clients paid on 30 to 60-day terms, but she had to pay her contractors and employees weekly. She maxed out a small business credit line and found herself constantly juggling payments, sometimes choosing between paying her team or paying her own rent. Late one night, after receiving a threatening letter from her landlord and discovering that one of her trusted managers had been embezzling funds, Maya sat on her bathroom floor and cried for the first time since Lily's birth. Her daughter, now 3 years old, appeared in the doorway, concerned. "Mommy sad?" Lily asked, her small face scrunched with worry. That moment crystallized everything for Maya. She dried her tears, tucked Lily back into bed, and spent the rest of the night developing a plan to address her crisis. She realized she had been so focused on growth that she had neglected fundamental business discipline. The next morning, she fired the embezzling manager, renegotiated payment terms with her major clients, and implemented strict financial controls. She also made the difficult decision to let go of several clients who consistently paid late, even though they represented significant revenue. This decision initially reduced her income, but dramatically improved her cash flow stability. During this period, Maya also faced personal attacks that cut deeper than any business challenge. Some of her former high school classmates, now attending prestigious universities, discovered her success and began a social media campaign mocking her. They shared old photos from when she was homeless, made cruel comments about her being a welfare queen who probably built her business through government handouts, and questioned whether someone like her could legitimately run a real company. The harassment escalated when a local news blog, known for sensationalist content, published an article titled "From Teen Mom to Entrepreneur: Lucky Break or Corporate Welfare?" The article implied, without evidence, that Maya's success must have come from special treatment or minority business grants rather than her own effort. The comments section filled with vitriol. Maya was tempted to respond, to defend herself, to explain that she had built everything through relentless work and smart strategy. But Mrs. Patterson, her old counselor from the shelter who had become a mentor, advised her differently. Mrs. Patterson told Maya that success would be her best response, and that energy spent defending herself was energy diverted from building. Maya took the advice to heart and channeled her anger into expansion. She identified a gap in the market. Mid-sized companies wanted the sophisticated facility management services that large corporations received but couldn't afford the premium prices charged by established national firms. Maya positioned Facility First directly in this sweet spot, offering enterprise-level service at prices small to medium businesses could afford. She achieved this through technology and efficiency rather than cutting corners on quality. Maya invested heavily in developing a proprietary software platform that automated scheduling, tracked service delivery in real time, and provided clients with transparent reporting. This platform became the company's secret weapon, allowing her to manage complexity that would overwhelm competitors while keeping overhead low. By her 21st birthday, Facility First had 200 employees and contractors, served 150 corporate clients, and generated $8 million in annual revenue. Maya had moved from her apartment above the laundromat to a modest house where Lily had her own bedroom and a small backyard to play in. More importantly, Maya had proven that her business model was sustainable and scalable. Recognition began to come from unexpected quarters. A business professor at the State University wrote a case study on Facility First's innovative approach to service integration. Maya was invited to speak at a small business conference, where her presentation on building business on a bootstrap budget received a standing ovation. Several venture capital firms reached out, interested in funding her expansion, but Maya was cautious about taking on investors. She had maintained complete ownership of her company and valued her independence. However, one investor, Margaret Whitmore, a successful entrepreneur who had built and sold several companies, took a different approach. Rather than immediately pitching investment, Margaret invited Maya to lunch and asked about her vision for the company. Over the next several months, Margaret became an informal mentor, introducing Maya to her network and providing strategic advice without asking for anything in return. Margaret saw in Maya something rare, a combination of street-smart resourcefulness and strategic thinking that couldn't be taught in business school. With Margaret's mentorship, Maya developed a bold plan to expand Facility First nationally through a franchise model. Rather than trying to directly manage operations in multiple cities, she would recruit ambitious entrepreneurs in other markets and license her brand, systems, and technology to them. This would allow rapid expansion without requiring massive capital investment. The plan was brilliant in theory, but complex in execution. Maya spent 6 months working with lawyers and consultants to develop a comprehensive franchise system, including operations manuals, training programs, and quality control mechanisms. She set high standards for franchisees, requiring them to undergo extensive training and maintain strict quality metrics. Her first franchise opened in a neighboring state, run by a former client who had been so impressed with Facility First service that he wanted to bring it to his hometown. The success of that franchise validated Maya's model, and within 2 years, Facility First had 23 franchises across 12 states. Revenue exploded to $50 million annually, with Maya receiving both franchise fees and ongoing royalties. At 23 years old, she was running a multi-million-dollar operation, managing franchise relationships, and continuously improving her technology platform. Her success began attracting national media attention. A business magazine profiled her in a feature on young entrepreneurs, though the article couldn't resist mentioning her background as a teen mother, as if it were either a novelty or a handicap she had overcome rather than simply a fact of her life. Maya gave interviews graciously but increasingly spoke up when journalists seemed more interested in her personal struggles than her business acumen. During a live television interview, when the host asked her to describe how it feels to have overcome such obstacles, Maya politely but firmly redirected, "I didn't overcome obstacles. I used them as information. Being young and underestimated meant people didn't see me as competition until I had already captured market share. Being broke meant I had to be creative and efficient. Those weren't obstacles. They were advantages I didn't recognize at the time." The clip went viral, and Maya became a voice for a different kind of entrepreneurship story, one that didn't rely on privilege or connections but on observation, adaptation, and relentless execution. Maya's success with Facility First had not gone unnoticed by the industry giants. When she was 25 years old, she received an acquisition offer from ServiceMaster, one of the largest facility management companies in the world. The offer was substantial, $300 million for Facility First, including its franchise network, technology platform, and brand. Maya faced the most important decision of her career. The money would make her wealthy beyond her wildest dreams. She would never have to worry about financial security again, and she could provide Lily with every opportunity she herself had been denied. However, selling would mean giving up control of the company she had built from nothing and potentially seeing her vision diluted or changed under corporate ownership. She spent weeks analyzing the offer, consulting with Margaret and other trusted advisors. Ultimately, Maya negotiated a complex deal that demonstrated her sophisticated business thinking. Rather than simply selling, she structured a partial acquisition where ServiceMaster purchased 60% of Facility First for $200 million, with Maya retaining 40% ownership and staying on as CEO with significant operational autonomy. The agreement included provisions that protected the company culture and required ServiceMaster to fund an aggressive expansion plan. Additionally, Maya negotiated the right to invest some of her proceeds in launching complementary businesses under a new holding company she would control entirely. This structure gave her financial security while maintaining her entrepreneurial independence. With $80 million from the ServiceMaster deal, she reinvested $120 million back into Facility First's growth. Maya created Richardson Ventures, a holding company focused on acquiring and launching service businesses that could benefit from her operational expertise and technology infrastructure. Her first acquisition was a struggling commercial landscaping company that she turned around by applying the same integration and technology principles that had made Facility First successful. She followed this with strategic investments in a technology startup developing AI-powered facility management tools, a commercial cleaning products manufacturer, and a vocational training center that prepared people for careers in facility services. This last investment was particularly meaningful to Maya, as it allowed her to create pathways for others who, like her younger self, needed opportunities more than charity. By her 30th birthday, Maya Richardson's net worth crossed the billion-dollar threshold, making her the first billionaire in her city and one of the youngest self-made female billionaires in the country. Her diversified portfolio of businesses under Richardson Ventures generated hundreds of millions in annual revenue, and her retained stake in Facility First, which had continued growing under ServiceMaster's resources combined with her leadership, had appreciated enormously. The girl who had once slept in a homeless shelter, who had cleaned toilets while her baby slept strapped to her chest, who had been mocked and dismissed, now commanded respect in boardrooms across the nation. But perhaps her greatest satisfaction came not from the wealth itself, but from what she did with it. Maya established the Second Chance Foundation, which provided housing, childcare, education, and business mentorship to young single mothers. Unlike many charitable organizations that offered temporary assistance, Maya's foundation focused on creating sustainable pathways to economic independence. She knew from experience that what struggling mothers needed wasn't just a handout but comprehensive support and someone who believed in their potential. The foundation purchased apartment buildings in several cities, offering below-market rent to qualifying single mothers while they pursued education or built businesses. It operated childcare centers with extended hours to accommodate unconventional work schedules. Most innovatively, it created a business incubator specifically for mother entrepreneurs, providing not just funding but mentorship, shared services, and a supportive community. When Maya received her first call from her estranged parents, her father now retired, her mother hoping to reconnect after reading about her success, she felt a complex mix of emotions. They wanted to meet Lily, to apologize, to explain that they had acted out of fear and concern. Maya agreed to meet them, not because she needed their validation or approval, but because she had learned that success meant having the security to be generous, even to those who hadn't earned it. During that first, awkward coffee meeting, her father admitted they had been wrong to abandon her. Maya looked at the elderly couple across the table, smaller somehow than she remembered, uncertain in a way they had never been when she was 17, and realized she felt neither anger nor vindication, only a mild sadness for what they had all lost during those years. She introduced them to Lily, now a confident 10-year-old who knew her mother's story and understood that strength could look like vulnerability and that success often began with failure. Maya had never hidden her past from her daughter. Instead, she had used it as a teaching tool about resilience, creativity, and the power of refusing to accept other people's limitations. As Maya stood at a business conference, preparing to deliver a keynote speech to thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs, She reflected on the improbable journey from that devastating day in her parents' living room to this moment. She thought about Gloria, the diner waitress who had shown her kindness, Mrs. Patterson, who had believed in her potential, Rosa and her first partners, who had taken a chance on a teenager's dream, and Margaret, who had mentored her without agenda. Success, Maya had learned, was never truly individual. It was built on a foundation of small kindnesses, difficult decisions, relentless work, and the courage to imagine a different future than the one everyone else predicted. As she stepped onto the stage to share her story, Maya hoped that somewhere in the audience was another dismissed young mother, another person who had been told they were finished before they had truly begun, who would hear her message. Your past does not determine your future. Other people's opinions are not facts, and the only limits that truly matter are the ones you accept for yourself.